Are we live? Are we live? I think we're live, aren't we? Hello. How are we doing, everybody? Welcome to the Skinny Jean Garden. Did you miss me yesterday? Did you? I bet you didn't. We are pretty much live every Monday to Friday, everybody. Coming to you live with all the gardening content. I've come on a little bit earlier. I know. Surprise. A little bit earlier tonight. Shall we hit the intro and get in a bit of Terry Wogan? Shall we hit the intro and get into it? Let's. Facilia. Or Pacilia. You just read it off there.
Yeah. Oh, I'm on.
Oh, I can't hear you, Anon. I've done something wrong with the thing. Anyway, elephant poo is what I got.
Good evening, Lee. How are you?
Great, mate. Your signal is always terrible, but I'm good, my friend. Excuse me. You got an allotment? When I go, don't put artificial grass on top of me, alright?
Are you going to get composted, Lee?
Yeah,
Migration.
Oh, yes. Hello. Oh, Beddoes. Right, okay, we're going to start a little bit early tonight because I feel a little bit bad about yesterday. And we've got a great interview coming up. Great interview. I don't know, it might be a rubbish one, but that would only be in my account. Beddoes, we're going till 9. We're going till 9 tonight. Tuesday. Let me know how you're getting on in the comments tonight, people. Evening, Mr. Blah, blah, blah. Mr. Blah, blah, blah. Evening, Mr. Jackson. Let's see if I do this. Right there. Oh, there you go. You comment there. Stop everything. Stop. Mr. Jackson just said he sowed over 200 seeds today. He also says my mood taste is getting better, so thanks. 200 seeds. Oh, man. Beddo says he's shattered tonight. He tried to move a grand piano. 7 of us couldn't move it. Amy, what are you talking about? 200? Is that all? It's a lot. Yeah. 20 feels like a lot for me. Is that all? Jackson, is that all? Okay, so this week, right? I know we're starting on a Tuesday rather than a Monday, as weeks go. I've got a good excuse. I have got a good excuse. Not really. But tonight we are speaking to Lewis Normand. I ain't got to pronounce the man so intently. Tomorrow we are going to be back to that episode of Instant Gardener. Not let Danny Clark get away with it. Thursday. I don't know why I went like that. It's just I've got someone special. Thursday, we're celebrating a whole year of this thing. Whole year of my book. I never talk about it. Never talk about it. Call it a birthday party for the book. 200 paper. He made 200 paper. I made paper pots today. 200 paper pots, so it would be over 200 seeds. Where'd you put, Mr. Jackson? Where'd you put them all? Where'd you put them all, mate? Where'd you put them all? I don't know. Did you have a good week? Oh, did you have a good weekend, by the way? I forgot what day it is. It's Tuesday, isn't it? Did you have a good weekend? Leave it out, Beddoes. Wait, I think I've got a green screen on. What's going on here? What's going on with this mug? That's a good one. It's a good song tonight. We've got another 2 minutes. Let's let it ride till the end of the 2 minutes, shall we? Oh yeah. We will. I think we will do a whole show just of music. Maybe next Monday. Oh, okay. Oh, 1 minute. See a 1 minute warning, everyone. 1 minute. Oh, thanks to everyone that's liked and who put a smiley face on. Someone's enjoying themselves. Okay. Slow it down, everybody. Slow it down. I wish I did do last night now. Wow, welcome everyone to the show. How are you all doing? Let me know if you're about in the comments tonight, everyone. We've got an awesome, I know it's going to be an awesome interview. Come up around, what time is it? About 5 to 10 minutes. We've got Lewis Normand, horticulturist, right? There's a list, right? Horticulturist, garden designer, writer, lecturer, and plant seller to the gardening designers of the shows that you may not have been to last year and may not go to this year, like maybe later in the year. That's all coming up. Plus, we're going to be talking about establishing a minister of horticulture. We did mention it, right, a few weeks back. And I thought, I've got to get Lewis on to talk about this. Because, one, that's how I learn best. That's how I get my information, just by talking to people, and hopefully you too. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, peeps. Welcome to the show. I missed you guys yesterday. Right, so the reason that I wasn't here was because there's a reason. I've started filming for that. I know, right? That school gardening success plan. I'm not going to bang on about it quite yet because actually we're going to launch it March the 8th. We're going to have a whole week about talking about the school plan. We're going to watch last year's documentary that week, and we're also just going to talk about gardening school. It's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun, peeps. So yeah, started filming that yesterday, and oh my gosh, the last time I was out and about doing work, I've been doing. Don't worry, I've not just been chilling for the last year, but the last time I actually went out of Colchester to work, I didn't go out of Colchester today, but out. It's a bit outly. The last time I went, you can see why I didn't come on yesterday. The last time I actually went out and did some work was where I did the documentary. About a year ago. Literally, last year, we went on tour around the country. We didn't know it was COVID at the time. But can I just state that? No one knew what was going on. A week later, maybe 2 weeks later, the country got shut down. And yesterday was the first time. Oh, hang on. No, I'm not doing that for something. The first time that we did some filming. Anyway, 2 days of it. Today went better than yesterday. I'll be honest with you, I was useless yesterday. I just kept stumbling over my words, and the team, Dale and Aid, were very patient with me. Very patient. It was needed that day. But I was so tired last night. I got in. I was so tired. I could not speak. I've still got a bit of a sort of, what? No, we had a test. I still got a sore throat now from speaking so much. It's so what I realised was doing what I was doing the last 2 days is very different from me just chatting to you peeps in the evening. This is very like relaxed. How you doing? What's happening? Monday to I say Monday to Friday. We are here on Fridays, but it's just the best of. Ain't no just sitting and talking to beddos. Gotta be energetic for the kids. Hey, it wasn't like this. Hey guys, let's do this. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. But yeah, that is the reason, everyone. That is the reason why I didn't come on last night. So I hope you enjoyed that little flashback to the start of the month, which I didn't realise until I put it out. I put it out in a bit of a rush, but I didn't realise that was the episode where Boris told us we were in lockdown. I'm like, next week, guys. Next 8th of March. It's 8th of March next week. It's not, is it? No, next week he'll tell us. 8th of March. Pay time. I don't know. Let's see what people are saying in the comments. Let me give us a shout. Phone lines are not open right now. We'll open the phone lines later on the show if that's cool with you. Because we've got Lewis coming on. What time are we on? Oh, any minute, guys. Which is very exciting. Let's see what everyone's saying. 200 pots by Mr. Jackson. So, Mr. Jackson. Woo! 200 pots. Amy said that's not a lot. So, go you, Amy. He also says, what did he say? Have you got a book out? I don't really talk about it much. He says, my greenhouse is about half full. Sales starts second week in March. It sounds like it's going to be a right busy one, Mr. Jackson. Is it Trouble-Free Tuesday? No, I don't think it's trouble. No, we don't call it Trouble-Free Tuesday. Hang on. Are you going to do another song? They postponed my COVID jab until next week. No, Beddoes, I'm not going to do it. It took enough effort to do the first song for you. Even Richard, and thanks, Amy. Amy's brought a book. Right, okay, right. I could come on a little bit earlier tonight just because I wanted to have a dance before we started. Not that we couldn't have had a dance with this man, everyone. It's Lewis Normand. Hello, mate.
Hello. How you doing?
Oh, hang on. I can't hear you. Why can't I hear you? Oh, hello, mate.
Can you hear me now?
It was my fault, dude. It was my fault. We played some music before we started.
How are you doing? You all right?
Oh, I'm good, man. I'm feeling good this week. Very good.
Great. I'll tell you what I was thinking about just before I came on. I was thinking last time I saw you was at the Garden Press event almost exactly a year ago, where you're just on your book, and I think you were talking. I was leaving, and you were chatting with my mate Lee Burkill, the Garden Ninja, at that point, just as I was off, and we said hello briefly. I think that was the last time I saw you, and probably anyone else that I know. That was about the last time we saw one another. So it feels about a lifetime ago rather than just a year.
I know, right? And I've got a feeling, I don't know if this is definite, but I've got a feeling that I said to you, I'll catch up with you at a show or something.
Yeah, no, we definitely did. We definitely did say that. Yeah, so yeah, well, this is it, isn't it? Really, we're catching up.
It's the best we're going to get, dude. Thanks so much for coming on, man.
That was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I know you've been a busy guy. You've been doing your own live stuff today. Have you been doing live stuff?
Yeah. I had something on at 10 this morning where we were talking to a number of nursery owners, UK wholesale nursery owners, just talking about the effects of Brexit, COVID, where horticulture's at in the UK. Yeah, so it's good. It's interesting. And this is Pro Landscaper TV, which I'm doing a monthly show on. So yeah, top and tail of the day, I'm on live stream.
It's a new world, mate. It's the new world.
Who'd have thought it?
Dude, before we could really get into it tonight, because you know we know each other, but people on the old podcast may want to get to know you more.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure, happily. So I plantsman on social media, and that's what most people know me as. My professional life really is spent in two different ways. One, I sell plants mostly to garden designers for show gardens. So as you said earlier on, the shows that I might not have been to last year, those would be normally where we'd meet up. And most of my sort of main public work is at show gardens. So last year was a bit of a weird one, as it was for everyone about everything. But we'll see what happens this year. It promises to be interesting, if nothing else. I have a degree in garden design, and I've worked as a garden designer in the past. And most of the other stuff that I do is writing. So writing Pro Landscaper magazine, and that's where I'm doing the TV, Pro Landscaper TV, and also in Garden News magazine, freelancing there as well. I mean, I'm all about plants and gardens, really. If anyone knows me, they know that's what I'm kind of really focused on. Yeah, I mean, that's what interests me. So I get involved in all manner of different bits and bobs. I get bored very easily, and that's the kind of broad brushstrokes to it there. So lots of different things because I'm easily bored. But yeah, writing, a little bit on media and plant sales are my big thing.
What got you into this to begin with? Like, how did it all start for you?
You know what? I've been asked this quite a lot recently, and I'm not really sure, if I'm honest, because it's one of those weird things. I was planning on being a laser engineer. That was what I was going to study, laser engineering and optoelectronics. And all my studies at school had been kind of around physics and things like that. And at the same time, I was working in garden centers and I was gardening for people. And so it kind of, I had this little revelation where I couldn't see myself in a white lab coat for the rest of my life. It just didn't seem right, and now the more I look at it now, the more ridiculous I think it is. So in the end, I kind of had a little look around just to see what were the options, what could I do? And it tied up what I was interested in gardens and in plants, albeit I didn't really know a great deal in it. And I was interested in design. And so I came down to University of Greenwich from Scotland and did a degree in garden design and set up my own business, worked for some great nurseries, got to travel into the Middle East and do stuff in Dubai, all sorts of interesting projects. But yeah, that's what kind of got me into it. And then working in the nurseries really is what built my plant knowledge. And, most people know me as the plantsman over anything, really.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did you go? So how did the whole like starting to sell plants go from garden design? Was that something that just comes hand in hand? I don't know.
I think originally the idea was that I could get myself some cheap plants for the project by working at the nurseries. So that it was like a 2-for-1 idea. You know, I got paid to work at a nursery and I got a good discount when I was doing design work. It was a bit of advice, actually, I think probably really inspired it. My head lecturer, Kamal Mehdi at University of Greenwich, he said, you know your plants, because at the end of the day, if you don't know your plants as a garden designer, you're a mug, you know. And so the best way of learning your plants was to go and work at a good nursery that had a lot of plants and you're handling them every day. And that was what really got me into it. So I kind of focused my attention on that. And then over time, I moved in from being from working in retail nurseries to going into wholesale nurseries. And I started teaching at University of Greenwich and Hadlow College. And when that changed to a point where I wasn't really loving it anymore, I went back into the wholesale nursery market, and I've kind of been in there since. But that's opened doors to the writing and things like that for me.
How many years have you been doing this for?
Oh, don't ask that. That's ridiculous.
I feel like we're like the same
42.
age, right?
I'm 42.
Oh, I thought you were the same age.
How old are you?
I'm like 33 in about a month.
All right, I'll take that. That's fine. I'll take that. I'm 42. I've been doing this since 1998. I started studying in 97. I qualified in 2001 for my degree, and I'd been working in the industry since about 98. But yeah, so old.
Yeah, and this next question is going to make you feel old as well. How have you seen the changes in the industry?
Oh man, it's ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, it's nothing like what it was. I mean, there's some big wins. When I started in horticulture, a fax machine was about as technologically sound as it got, you know. And I mean, and there's still nurseries out there that really are fax machine focused. But the fact we're doing this now, you know, we're having a chat, a live stream chat, it would never have been an option before. So the industry's modernized a lot, and even in the last year, it's modernized a great deal. But I think it's not as strong an industry as it once was. And I think that's part of the problem we've got, that we became very dependent on particularly Dutch imports, and where our supermarkets have been very focused on buying from abroad, it's weakened our overall power as an industry. We've lost a lot of old, mostly family businesses, aren't they? You know that. So, you know, you've got a lot of people who are generations in the making, and then suddenly one generation goes, actually, it's not worth it. You know, why would I want to flog a dead horse? So we've lost a lot of great nurseries, but there are still some wonderful ones out there, and lots of really good family-owned small businesses. The reason I work for Bernard's Nurseries now is because they're family-owned and they've got a real family ethos. So although they're reasonably big and very old, established wholesale supplier, Jeffrey Bernard, who's 97 this year, is very much, very much part of the business. And, you know, that's a reason I can kind of sign up to. So horticulture, it's changed a lot. I think there's a lot of good things have happened. But at the same time, it's perhaps not where we need it to be in order for it to be, you know, really well respected in the UK. You know, that was part of the reason why I got sufficiently annoyed over the last year to try and start this campaign, just to open discussion over the idea of whether we need to just have a minister for horticulture, not just different ministers who, you know, cover agriculture and all that as well. So it was more about feeling kind of a bit disillusioned. You know, we're not getting heard, yet we're putting a lot into the economy. You know, we're big players in the economy, really, for what a lot of people just consider a bit of gardening. You know, we do a lot, and there's a lot of knowledge and experience. And so, yeah, that kind of drove that. Let's try and see what discussion we can have. But I think arguably this is the best year I could have done this, because I don't think we'd have been able to interact the way we are, to do as much of the stuff online as we have been, and to have an audience that's as receptive, because there's a lot of people on furlough, a lot of people have lost jobs, a lot of people, businesses are in trouble. And, I really think that we don't have a voice out there in Parliament shouting loud enough. They're shouting a lot about fisheries, which is very important. Couldn't agree more. Agriculture, very important. Couldn't agree more. But I'm not hearing horticulture mentioned at all. And that's disappointing.
Yeah, see, this is the interesting thing, right? Because obviously I saw you bring this up, and it's one for me. I'm not a horticulturist; I'm just a gardener. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, but that is a horticulturist,
of sorts. But I always assumed that we'd already have that. Like, I mean, it's not something I've ever thought about before, but I thought it's just like a given. Like, we must have this, like, someone to represent horticulture already.
Well, at a professional level, we've got lots of trade bodies, and there's quite a few of them doing different bits, and they lobby to the DEFRA minister, George Eustace, and his under ministers and the lords. Enjoying my lockdown haircut at the moment. It's getting long and very wavy. So we've got a DEFRA minister, and that's part of his job. But look, if your job involves agriculture, fisheries, horticulture, the waterways, the environment, biosecurity, all of these things, you can't do it all. You can't cover it all. You can't give it all the attention it needs when you've got a Brexit debate, when you've got COVID and you've got people, losing their jobs, when you've got biosecurity problems at the ports because they've not thought about how to do it properly. Yeah. There's a lot of things that they need to consider. And so, although we do have a minister that's responsible, he's responsible for a massive remit. And I just don't think that they can possibly give us the attention that we need or deserve. And in fact, I think it's been pretty much proven by the fact that when they looked at seasonal workers from Europe and they agreed to bring in a load for agriculture, they didn't even think about horticulture. It wasn't discussed. But of course, we do need seasonal labour as well. And, maybe we can pick it up in the UK market. Maybe it's a good way to treat loss of jobs. But at the same time, you want to be thinking about it. And I think that's one of the big problems that we've, one of the many problems we've encountered already, and we've got more on the horizon. In January, we had a overnight import ban on prunus. So all cherries, and including things like hedging plants like cherry laurel, overnight, because there was certain problems with a very small group of them. And, that you can't make those kind of changes. Some companies are just rely upon that kind of turnover at this time of the year. We're about to have in early March, this was announced today, about to have more import bans put on plants which are Xylella hosts, which of course, it's important. We don't want to bring Xylella into the UK. We don't want to bring any pests in that we don't have already. And we don't want any more than we have. But at the same time, if you've got people just making knee-jerk, now you can't do it, it affects people, businesses, money.
Has Brexit, is this all because of Brexit, these things from this year, or has Brexit affected it too much? Or
people talk about perfect storm, don't they? Where you've got Brexit, COVID, all of these things coming at the same time. To be honest, if they came separately, I'm sure we'd still find different problems. I think Brexit has presented some challenges. I think because we got a deal that basically followed what we've been preparing for, although it's more work and it's more costly to import plants now, it's still doable. And once we iron out some things like the delays at port, it'll be okay. Once the system for importing works, it'll be all right. Until then, we're going to have problems, and it'll get worse because we'll get busier as the season goes. In some ways, COVID was a bit of a blessing because it's kind of stopped some of the big plant market sales, which has meant that we've not had the shortages that we were likely to get as a consequence of Brexit. We'll see. I mean, I don't think anyone really knows, if I'm honest. And if they're telling you they do, they're lying.
It's all a bit of an unknown at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, and we'll find out. There's going to be advantages as well. whatever your position on Brexit, you just kind of have to stop and say, well, it's done now, and we've got to get on with it. So if you wanted it, then I hope you like the results. If you didn't want it, then you know what I mean. If you didn't want it, then hopefully the results aren't too horrible for you. I think we'll get there. Yeah. But some people at the moment are finding it much harder than others, and it didn't really seem to matter how much you prepared. Just some crops, some problems. You can't go into Northern Ireland with plants. That's a real problem for a lot of nurseries, and hopefully we'll get beyond that without the Northern Irish Assembly, falling apart. Fingers crossed.
There's a lot. There's a lot
going on. Yeah.
Richard's asked if you've got any understanding of regulations that come in from the government plant passports. Have I got any understanding of it?
Because he said he looked at it. Yeah, it is a headache. I think right at the beginning when we were dealing with Dutch and German importers, the response was quite clearly, this is your fault. You brought it on yourselves, and why should we make it easier for you? Which I can understand. It's not very helpful, but and I made it clear that it wasn't our fault. Some people voted for it, not everyone did. And it has added to the work. Now, I was asking earlier on today, I was asking my panel if they felt that this gives us an opportunity to trade outside of the EU more effectively, because obviously it's the same protocols that we'll have to go through in order to deal with them. Maybe was the answer. I think it's still very early. Look, the paperwork is definitely more. It costs more to bring in a load of plants. Once the government fixes the peach system, which is their import system, so that you can actually definitely import everything you want, because at the moment they're not all on there, it'll be easier. At the moment, I know that we are spending a lot more physical time uploading information, dealing with freight forwarders that we weren't having to do before. It adds a cost. It's about a couple of hundred per delivery, a couple of £100 per delivery, which at the end of the day has to be passed on to the consumer. And bearing in mind that also plant prices went up pretty much on the moment we voted to leave Europe, and they've been going up steadily since, and they went up a lot in January. So we've got increased prices and increased costs from administration and paperwork, and I think that is going to be unfortunate. But as always, it's important that we look to positives. And one of the positives, which will be a longer term positive rather than short term, is that I think we're going to have an opportunity for the UK market to increase plant production, to pick up some of the slack on where we've been conveniently buying stuff in from Europe. We can maybe just actually do a bit more growing again, which would be lovely. That'd be really good. And it could be an opportunity for more growers to set up and really, or existing growers to really take the bull by the horns.
Yeah, is that going to be a difficult thing, or I'm guessing there's going to be some expense, obviously, to start setting up on our own. Yeah, but it's a difficult thing to kick off.
I think it's easier if you're already doing it and you've got space to do it. A lot of nurseries, a lot of old established nurseries have the one major advantage of they already own the land, and that they've got more space than they're using currently. So they can expand their production, they can get more staff in, and they can grow more than they were. If I was to do it from scratch myself, I don't know. I'd want someone to have bought the land for me, because the costs to overcome are pretty high, and the time in which you see the money will take a while. The advantage being that the prices have gone up so much that it's easier now to produce locally and make a better profit than it was before, still charging less than it is to import a lot of plants. So I think Europe might find, particularly the Dutch, who are, if they're not the ones supplying, they're agents for other European countries and they're distributing into the UK. I think they might find that their price point is actually losing a competitive edge pretty soon, which will be interesting. But the problem is it's not like saying, is it easy to do it, because it isn't, and it's quite expensive, but it also takes ages. That's the thing. Producing a plant is going to be at least 6 months in the making for something small, from something equally small. But, if you're talking about trees, years in the making. So the catch up is, it's a decade.
Yeah,
it's a decade work.
I didn't really realise how many plants we import, really.
Oh,
but
yeah.
But then, like, I can't remember if maybe it was last year or maybe the year before that. But as soon as like Brexit was said, oh yeah, Brexit's happening, all of a sudden, especially like the shows, like, oh, we don't know if we're going to get enough plants to even get in the shows, and everyone started panicking.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, we're in quite a good position because everyone bought a load of stuff in December and really stocked their nurseries sky high, so that knowing that they were going to probably struggle to do it. But the problem also is Europe were continuing to sell during our lockdown period last year. So when we weren't able to trade, they were still able to. And the net consequences, they sold a lot of their gear and were selling into their 2021 stock. We've then taken a load more of it. Once it goes, then we're going to have shortages. And there's going to be quite a lot of different shortages, I think, across Europe. And I don't think it's going to be easy for them to be picked up. Now, look at it this way. You're going to have crops that don't sell as well, that people have to use because all the stuff they wanted initially is gone. So you're going to have positives for some nurseries in that respect. But I think the availability of stock is definitely going to be a question mark in the next 6 months. Up until the next 6 months, we're probably fine. But after that, I think it's going to get interesting. And then we'll end up with some kind of like Mad Max plant hunting scenario. But we'll see. We'll see. Really, I think a lot of it's conjecture. But DEFRA were surprised by how many trailers of plants were being imported into the UK. I don't think they really had much of a grip of it. They didn't realise that it was such a big thing. And I think we'll find a way. But I think people are going to have to end up using slightly different things to what they had planned. One of the key sort of take homes from chats I've been having generally have been, go to your nursery and ask them what they've got rather than go to them and tell them what you want, because you're going to get a better quality of plant and you're going to get more reliable supply. Less times you're going to have to go back to the client and say, very sorry, but can't offer this, even though I told you that was the best thing for you.
Yeah, that's it. So it's going to be a bit of a strange one. Do you think it's going to be a case that we could actually walk into a nursery and it could have like empty shelves?
Maybe. Some lines, yeah. I mean, I think some lines definitely are going to be working on those kind of terms. And then it'll be interesting to see whether the supermarkets want to keep stocking plants, because they're going to find it harder to guarantee low price stock, and the big sheds. Because it's going to be a real seller's market. If you've got the product, they're not going to want to give it away. So we'll see what happens. But I think certain things like, there's always some shortages of roses and lavenders when you've got a good summer. And I imagine they'll be the kind of crops which we struggle with quickest, and people are going to be madly taking cuttings of lavenders right now, hoping to get on with it. But the roses are a much slower crop.
Yeah, that's it. Look, obviously we had COVID last year, yeah.
Yeah,
Don't know if you noticed it. Do you think that gave the industry a bit of a how do I put this nicely? Kick up the bottom.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I think what it was interesting seeing how people responded, because there were some people who had never reached out to their audience before, who got really good at it really quickly, and they got on with little Insta chats to show the nursery. They got into boxing and delivering product to customers around the UK, and they actually probably a lot of them made more money than they would have in a normal year. And then some of them weren't able to do that for whatever reason. And I think they must have found it really hard, really hard. But it's interesting that, we're at a point now where we've got garden centres closed, but wholesale nurseries are allowed to be open, and retail nurseries are closed. So we've got, we're still able to deal with customers because we can do it in a COVID secure way. They're mostly on account, so we don't really need to, get up close and personal with them. They're out on a nursery, or we're working with masks, and we're maintaining social distancing. We've been able to do that throughout in reality, but obviously it's only in the last lockdown that the government's kind of said, yeah, it's okay to operate like that. I think most wholesale nurseries have been able to do okay, and I think smaller, independent, maybe back garden retail nurseries have probably found it quite difficult unless they were prepared to courier stuff. If you're prepared to box it and courier it, I think that the world's your oyster, because if you've got something good and you can take a nice photo of it, there's someone in the UK wants to buy it, definitely. Yeah. But if not, yeah, trouble. And a lot of nurseries, I think, really did incredibly well. Instagram lit up during the first lockdown with existing nurseries doing something new, and that was good to see. So it was a kick up the bum, but maybe a worthwhile one for a lot of them. I know that the other really sad thing is there's been a lot of places closed down because they weren't able to react, or they just thought, look, I've been thinking about retiring, I've been thinking about changing business, I've had a few bad years in a row, and now's the time to do it because it's just not worth it, which is sad, and hopefully their hard work's not gone to waste. But, inevitably, I imagine in some cases that's true.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't want to say I told you so, but before COVID was even a word, my friend, on the podcast, we were talking about the industry going online a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, like I said about the fax machine, I've been complaining about that for years now, where you've got suppliers who wouldn't take an email. You either called them on their mobile and they wrote it on the back of a fag packet, or they took a fax that they'd receive at the end of the day or a couple of days later. And, the world needs to be a bit more nimble now. And if you can't get back to someone with an answer pretty quickly, they found it somewhere else. So there's very few people have got such magical plans that you can wait forever to get a price on it. So you're absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, anyone who was thinking that we could get away with slow service and snail mail being the way of doing it, it was mad.
Yeah,
living in a previous world.
We've got a few organisations in the industry. I can only name 2. I know there's more, right? Like what?
There are, yeah.
Oh, obviously, I know, right? You'll say some of them. I go, oh yeah. I said, but what organisations have we got in the industry that obviously, if we had a minister, would be obviously a lot better. But at the moment, what organisations have we got, and how well do they work together?
Well, I mean, I think the question of how well they work together, I don't know. Really, I'm not sure. The reality is, I think probably a lot of them don't work brilliantly together because it's not in their interests to work too well together. They are good industry bodies. Don't get me wrong, but you've got the HTA, Horticultural Trades Association, who kind of cover everything really. But what you've got to do first of all is think about horticulture, because there are gardeners. So you've got Professional Gardeners Guild. You've got garden designers, Society of Garden Designers. You've got horticulturists of many different types, Chartered Institute of Horticulture, Garden Centre Association for garden centre workers. Everybody's got the thing, and then you've got arboriculture, you've got floristry, you've got soil scientists, chemical suppliers, pot manufacturers. There'll be a body that basically represents all of them. Horticultural Trades Association covers most widely, and they're probably the most active at lobbying our DEFRA minister and our parliament generally to get things going. They're the ones, along with the Garden Centre Association, most readily trying to get garden centres back open at the moment. And I think that, there's no doubt that they do good work. And it would be foolish to say otherwise, because they do. They really are very involved. But the problem is that I think they're talking to someone who doesn't have to listen that hard, right? Because they've got a lot of other things to worry about. Whereas if you've got a champion, if you've got someone who is really horticulture focused, you got a winner.
Yeah, that's it. What? So this petition you've started.
Yep.
How many people need to sign it before it gets in front of the right people to start?
A serious amount need to. I mean, we're heading towards 1,000 signatures at the moment, which is at least 9,000 short of really making any kind of significant difference.
Okay.
Look, here's the deal. It would be great if it got really, listened to and read in Parliament, and people start to actually think about it and ask questions there. For me, what's more important is that people start to think about, what are we being heard? Do you feel represented? Do you feel that our trade bodies are respected enough by the parliamentarians that are listening to them? Do you feel that they're able to shout loud at them? Or do you feel that something like agriculture has got a much weightier voice? So for me, it's more about starting a kind of thought process and a talk. If it goes there, that'd be great. I mean, look, sign it. For God's sake, sign it. Get everyone you can to sign it. And champion it, because it's about everyone, whether you're a full professional or not. It's about ensuring that horticulture is looked after, because there isn't a person, I'm sure, listening or who could listen to this that doesn't like a public park, that doesn't like a bit of green space in a city, that wouldn't want to see verges planted with wildflowers to encourage insects and biodiversity in their towns and villages. Everybody wants the same things that horticulture can offer, and is doing, but is doing without help rather than because we're really championed and supported. So the idea being, Minister for Horticulture, it would be great if we can get one, and have someone who's championing horticulture in Parliament, someone who's there to ask the questions, someone who's there to respond directly to the needs of the professional bodies that are looking after all the different aspects of horticulture. But more important, really, is that we all start feeling a bit of value. You said, I'm just a gardener. You're not, are you? Let's face it. You're not just a gardener, because you've got a voice. You've got a voice in a marketplace, and people want to hear you. And moreover, what the hell is just a gardener? I've never heard such nonsense. It's
I want to say legend, but I've thought.
Well, that's it. But see, that's the problem. Is what we're doing is we're downplaying our skills and how brilliant we are. Horticulture's got some of the most intelligent people hiding away in the darkness, not heard and not seen, but they're doing great things. We should be championing that, rather than just kind of accepting when we get ignored. And I think that's what we want to do. We want to really have a bit of respect for what we're about, and expect others to have some of that respect. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to people talking about health and well-being, they talk about public parks, going into forests, going into your garden, growing your own, and that's horticulture, that's gardening, that's garden design, that's landscape management, forestry, arboriculture, horticulture, floristry, they're all in there. And we really need to be loved and adored like we should be. Yeah,
I'm with you, man. I'm with you all the way. Dude, thank you so much for coming on today and talking about it. We're trying to try and get that petition up a little bit more, at least. You're thinking about it, man. You're right. You're so right about that. Like, especially with these petitions, can be really difficult to get up there. But as long as I'm talking about it now, and I wouldn't have been talking about it before. So, people, it's getting the message out there at least.
Yeah, well, I just had an interview for the newspaper. I've just moved up to Scotland. I've been in England, as you know, for like 20 years, but I just moved back up to Scotland, close to my family, and I had an interview on the weekend with Scotland on Sunday newspaper about it, because a journalist picked it up on Twitter. And I think it's not just about the English Parliament or the British Parliament. It's about tackling it at all of the local parliaments, and even getting it into your local councils, and getting people really thinking about it and championing horticulture and loving it. So for God's sakes, get it signed. Get it signed, boy.
You sound like Bob Geldof.
Well, he got stuff done. He got stuff done, didn't he? So I'll take that.
Well,
Yeah.
that's it, mate.
But yeah, no, it'd be great to think we can really start to feel the love for horticulture across the UK.
Definitely, Val. Definitely. Dude, I cannot wait to hopefully bump into you at a social distance, maybe, but depends.
Yeah.
But
And further down the line, we'll have a nice hug as well.
yeah, hopefully, man. I look forward to seeing you later in the year, dude.
All right, man. It's great to speak to
Thanks
you.
for coming on, mate. I'll see you
Pleasure.
later.
Thanks a lot. Bye now.
Oh, what? I told you, everyone. I told you it was going to be a great chat tonight. Phone lines are going to be over. I saw some of you putting some messages in there. Phone lines are going to be open after this. God, this must have been written by J.K. Rowling, mustn't it? Oh no, by Lee, the Skinny Jean Gardener, How to Get Kids Gardening book. I tell you what, it's an absolute awesome read, and you should get your hands on it. It's on offer right now. Go click the link. You know. Go click the link in the comments or in the description. You get your hands on it. Let's see what people are saying. Oh, that Sam from Sam and Mark says, oh, Lee's passion for gardening is infectious. Probably shouldn't say that word at the moment. It's not the best. In fact, you don't want to be saying you're infectious, because it's yeah, probably wear a mask around it, but it's that good. It's infectious. Go get your hands on one right now. Right now. We're at the end of the minute. Right now. Welcome back, everyone. Phone lines are now. Hold it. Wait for it. Phone lines are now open. 0742 357 4520. Or if you want to come on the screen tonight and discuss what me and Lewis were just chatting about, then there is a link in the comments. Let's see what everyone's saying in the comments. I saw Amy quite a lot talking about floristry and how it is quite similar at the moment. I mean, I think it's so important. Like, I feel like this is something we need to, well, you know, be talking about a lot more. And that's why I thought we'd get it on the show tonight. Let's see what everyone's saying. Hang on a second, because I did see at one point. Oh, here you go. Mr. Bello says, is it not time to educate people, me too, a lot of time, as to which vegetables are in season and when grown here, other than flying stuff in from around the country, around the world? That's a really good point, actually, Mr. Beddoes. It's a good, and actually, quite interestingly, today I went into Olive wanted some strawberries, and there was no strawberries. And she said, why is there no strawberries? And I was like, well, we're actually in this country, we don't actually grow these strawberries. They're not actually from. It blew her mind. She couldn't quite understand why. What she thought these strawberries come from UK. I was like, no, child. I don't call it child. No, these are not from here. That's the thing. So it's a good point. Well made, Bellows. Yeah, I think maybe. I mean, supermarket. This is the thing, right? Supermarkets, as great or as hated as you may think they are, because they have vegetables for us all year round. We assume that they can be grown all the time. Not the case. Not the case at all. And Mr. Jackson says, sounds like my charity plant sales will do well this year. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we will go into the garden centre and there might be a bit of a shortage, but we'll see. We'll see. There's Amy again talking about supermarkets will do what they do with cut flowers and buy up growers in Kenya to grow direct for them. Yeah, that's also true. Suggs comes in with grow early varieties of strawberries in a heated greenhouse. We could harvest strawberries in March. I think we could. I mean, it's similar to the plant growing chat that me and Lewis just had a second ago, really. That yeah, we could do all this in not everything, but we could do a lot in the UK, right? But it's just a cost. If you want to check out, let's go and check out the petition because I'd love you to sign it. I've signed it already, but I'd love you to. It's in the link right now. If you want to fly off, click the link right now, go and sign it, and then come back to the show. You can, because all we're going to do is quickly check it out. Let's share screen. Boom, boom, boom. Here we go. Right, here we go. Right. Change.org, establish a minister for horticulture position. It's super easy. There's 877 people at the moment have signed it. Let's get to 1,000. I mean, I think you have got to get about 10,000 before we get anywhere. But Lewis made a really good point that it's getting people talking, right? All you got to do, put your name, last name, email, boom. I'll just show you where I live there. And then sign the petition. Don't look at that. That, everyone, is what I'd like you to get on board with tonight. Or if you listen on the podcast, go sign that. Go give it a sign right now. But it's definitely gotten people talking. Everyone's talking on here. Amy says, at Riddle, we had 60 centimetre stemmed sweet peas in February. Go on, Amy. Would it not cost much more in a heated greenhouse than borrowing a jumbo jet to fly them in? I mean, I think eventually, I don't know actually, Beddoes. I mean, it is about cost, isn't it? But also it's about, I suppose it's about access to, access cuts them. See, I suppose it's about being able to get them in. I hear what you're saying. I don't know. It's a good point. Would it cost as much to get a heated greenhouse and borrow? I think maybe, I don't know, Beddoes. That's a really good question. I've not got an answer for. I've not got an answer for it, Beddoes. Amy says carbon neutral greenhouses in Holland, huge setup costs. Yeah, I think to be honest with you, and this is something that a minister of horticulture could probably push, right? But surely, if we wanted to do that, there got to be some funding for it, right? Like, surely the government will just fund it, the initial cost. So I don't know the exact ins and outs of that. Surely the government just fund that. Lee Connolly says government will fund it. Government will fund it. In the 40s, they ate what was available. Yeah, exactly right. Exactly. So just reading the petition that I want you guys to get involved with tonight. Lewis says in 2018, the UK horticulture was valued by the HTA 24.2 billion per year. I'd have some of that. UK horticulture employs over 500,000 people, representing 1 in every 62 jobs. Even ignoring the financial value of horticulture to the economy, the environmental, social, and cultural, leisure, culinary, and aesthetic value of the industry should not go unnoticed or heard. Really good point in that chat, yeah. Really good point that Lewis made was, crikey, over the past year, we've been out and about walking through parks, woodlands. We've been out, right? That's one thing that maybe I don't think about. I think about gardening as me potting around, growing a few vegetables, kicking around a ball with Olive, beating her at football because she hates football and she actually likes football. And I see that as gardening. That's my type of gardening. What I don't think about, maybe a lot of us in the group tonight, or if you're listening on the show, on the podcast, maybe you do think about it. This is just me being blinded. I don't think about people that look after our parks or look after our, even just looking after our verges. I don't think about that, do you? I feel a bit out of order saying that. That's bad out of order, mate. We're gardeners as well. I don't think about that. Like, who's representing them? I know there's loads of organisations, and I was pushed a little bit. I was like, does anyone get together? I wonder if anyone does get together, these organisations. Like I say, where's the positivity bell? Keep it positive. Yeah, zoos. Sucks. Well done. Zoos and theme parks. Don't think all these things, everywhere everyone walks about, has been tended to a garden. You may not see them. You might. You may not see them, but they're there. Where many other industries are supported with a voice in Parliament, horticulture often goes unnoticed. Why is that? I maybe was to blame there. I said I was just a gardener. We all know that I'm not just a gardener. I'm a gardening legend in this, I was going to say household, but just this shed, really. We're not just gardeners, we're gardeners, right? What is that? Is that an English thing? That's a British thing, isn't it? Horticulture often goes unnoticed as an extension of agriculture. We talked about this when we first started talking about this, didn't we? I think Mark come on and mentioned it. Fisheries, while important, contribute to over little. I love how he's writing this. Contributes a little over to 1.4 billion. Billion fisheries in the UK, and yet has a better parliamentary representation. The UK horticulture industry is too big to be ill represented in the government and through opposition parties. Governmental targets to plant trees at a greater rate in the UK than ever before to beautify, improve air quality in our cities. Oh man, we talk about gardening 5 nights a week on this show. Quite important, aren't we? Hello? Quite important. A dedicated Minister for Horticulture could greatly help improve understanding at a national level of the value of the industry. The Minister could be supportive voice in Parliament and could lead the way in setting the agenda of making the UK one of the greenest and more sustainable countries in the world. We hear so many people talk about that, and yet we've got no one to represent. We have an industry, but we lack the voices in Parliament to represent those employed and drive the change for us all. We need a Minister of Horticulture to represent growers, garden centres, nurseries, small food producers. There's a massive list here. There's a massive list. And I think the biggest thing, and this is something that I really realised doing the school plan that I've been speaking to different organisations, no one talks to each other. No one talks to each other. We're all in the same industry. No one talks to each other. What's that about? I'm sure there is. That's just me thinking that no one does. I don't feel like anyone talks to each other. I suppose it's so because there's so many different organisations. A lot of people to talk to. A lot of big group text, that team. Big group text. Let me say no. Check out Porta Nova Roses in Holland. Their greenhouses are awesome and carbon neutral self-heating. Oh, we're going right on a little tangent here. Come on then, Amy. What do you want me to do? Porta Nova Roses in Holland. Porta Nova. You joined us halfway through that interview. That's going to be on the Best of podcast on Sunday, if you want to listen to that. What am I looking at here? I've just got pictures of roses. Hang on. Who's this geezer? Oh, the LED. What, the LED greenhouses? Is this what we're talking about? Oh my gosh. Can you see this? Oh, I'm just looking and you guys can't see. Carbon neutral. Wow, I've never seen. Oh, that's so weird, isn't it? Like, I've never seen. Is that how roses are actually usually grown? I've never even thought about it, really. Oh, I'm so naive. This is why. This is honestly, and I hate the. Well, I don't hate to bring it back to the kids thing, but this is why at schools we should be teaching children about growing their own veg. So they realise that the stuff in the supermarket is obviously imported. You know, strawberries this time of year, right? 2. That roses are grown like that, and you know, they're not just picked from the rose bush out back. Oh really, Amy? Oh, maybe maybe I'll try and set that up for next week. We'll have a little watch. 2, where was I going with this? 2, the roses and plants, how they're grown like that. It's like amazing to watch, right? And 3, put it in freeze. Put it in freeze. That horticulture and gardening is bigger than just growing vegetables and cutting the grass. And they're all around us. Yes, Mr. Suggett, our zoos, our theme parks, and our hold on. I'm just reading Amy's comments tonight now. The chrysanthemum are grown on a conveyor. The whole greenhouse moves backwards as they are harvested. What? Amy, that is tangent central. We're not going to go into that tonight, but we'll definitely have a look at that in the coming weeks. Not this week, but the coming weeks, we'll have a look at Amy. That sounds what? The whole greenhouse moves. It's as big as an aircraft hangar. No. Surely not. Have you heard about this? Mr. Jackson?
Hello, mate. What did I miss that bit? Say again.
Apparently chrysanthemums are grown on a conveyor and the whole greenhouse is as big as an aircraft hangar and it moves.
Yep.
You seen that?
Yeah, and like tomatoes grow at the top of the greenhouse, not the bottom. Tomatoes, when they grow them in greenhouses, they just get higher and higher and higher.
Yeah.
And they have a cherry picker to pick them.
Oh, I've never seen this. Hey, man, like I was literally just saying before you come on, this is the sort of stuff, right, that we should be showing children, yeah?
Yeah. And that man, he's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I've got so much research to do now. I just think that nothing's changed, Lee, since I was at school. You know, 40 years ago, I was at school and gardening was aimed at the people that weren't very clever.
Yeah.
Okay. You either did, I can't remember what rural studies, we called it. So you looked after some animals, you did a bit of gardening. That was it. You know, I wasn't lucky enough to do that. But it hasn't changed. Nothing's changed. Gardening or horticulture is frowned upon by the people that make the decisions. I honestly think that. I just don't. Nobody looks at it when you go to secondary school. Nobody says to you that's going to be a profession. You go to the careers advisor, it's never brought up.
No. Well, I never even knew you could be a gardener. I mean, not that I was interested when I left school. Never had any experience of it, but I never knew it was even a career, to be honest with you.
I think I was lucky because my dad always gardened. As we were, there was 4 of us, 4 kids. So my mum worked in the summer, and dad worked all the time. So we didn't have a lot of money. So he had to garden to grow the vegetables.
Yeah.
So I think I was lucky, really, that I just wish I'd have paid attention when I was younger, because then I wouldn't have had to learn so much. But I think we have to change the attitude of the people that make the decisions, because not every child can be a brain surgeon or a doctor or a solicitor, or a news reporter. We need to sort of channel and say there's great profession out there, and it's not only growing vegetables or flowers. There's so much more into it. You can be a scientist and be a horticulturist. You go to Kew, and there are, well, not hundreds, but there's lots of people working there that never stand on the soil.
Yeah.
Exactly. and I think we've got to show that to the children, not just like my age group I teach, but secondary school children. There's so many kids out there that don't learn in class. They can't grasp. But if you said to them, we're going to go outside once a week or twice a week or 3 times a week, and they will learn the plant names if they've got the interest. It's like the Latin. None of us really enjoy learning the Latin names, but if you go to a nursery, that's what 10 years ago, that's what they expected you to say.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm still learning.
Yeah, do you know what? I think now this is the thing. When you were just chatting there, I thought you're right. Gardening is always pegged as if you're not very good at it, at education, then you can go and do this. Yeah. And when we were chatting, I was like, this almost needs like a rebrand. And then I thought, for like forever now, people are like, oh, you gotta make gardening cool, guys. And actually, you say it about what I think, and this is the reason that I'm glad you called in. And there is a point. Wait for it. But gardening in primary school, this is something that we're really passionate about. Obviously, getting them gardening to begin with is important.
Yeah.
Secondary school, then we need. I say we, but there needs to be something for secondary school to do to continue that and to show the different areas, because those are the years in secondary school where those are the decision years. Let's be honest, no one in primary school is thinking about what they want to do. Everyone wants to be a fireman or a postman. I don't know what they so secondary school seems like a good time to really show what's what, show what's out there. I just didn't even know all these different worlds when I was in secondary. I had no idea.
No, I think what you're doing and what Larry Lamb's doing has got to come together at some point.
I think so. I think it needs.
I really do, because otherwise, when we finish with them at 11, then they don't do it again until they're married and in their late 30s, when they realise that you don't sit there and talk to your wife all night every night and all weekend every weekend. You both need hobbies. You both need things to do separately, or you might even, you never know, you might get to do it together. Something really scary. Both of you working in the garden together.
Calm down, fella.
But yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I'm like you. I'm on my own most of the time. I think that the only way forward is to get what you're doing and what Larry's doing together, and at some point they've got to merge and they've got to become one. Because I think what you're aiming to do is amazing, but Larry's already proved it can be done in secondary schools. It just needs to go out big time.
Yeah.
Like,
Sorry, mate.
sorry for swearing.
That's right. You're right. 100% you're right. But also, and this is Amy makes a good point in the comments tonight. It's bang on it tonight. Is framed it as a career. And actually, I don't know how it is framed at the moment in secondary school as a career at all. I don't know if it is. It could be now. I don't know if it might be mentioned.
Well,
I don't know.
Both my children have gone through secondary school, and I've been to careers nights with them. I've never seen a horticulture stand.
No.
You know, you have all the Dyson vacuum cleaner, you have the police, the army, the Land Rover, all them sort of things, Rolls Royce, but you don't get anybody from Lackham College, which is our local outdoor college, coming to sell the outdoor education.
Well, why? Why is that?
I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. My sister's a florist, and she did her training at Lackham, like I did my forest school training at Lackham.
Yeah.
But I still think that certain schools, I'm not saying all schools, certain schools, I don't want them in, because that doesn't give our school the right, you know, it's like, no, educated children don't go there. And I really think that the top schools, like there's two local to me that are really high up on the scale. They're only interested on the targets. So if they're getting A stars, the chances of them A star students becoming a gardener are pretty slim. But they're not being shown that. They might want to be a gardener. They might be good at maths. They might be good at science. They might want to go into horticulture, or, you know, into any side of it. You know, we're breeding new plants. We're keeping the existing plants in fridges so that if we lose them, then we can bring them back again. You know, we need to sell the scientist-y bit of it, I think, to get. Do you know what I mean? To get you need to get the whole of the horticulturalists in, not just gardeners, not just florists, but all the other little jobs that they do.
Yeah.
Because you will know, working with the RHS, there are loads of different people, loads of different levels, loads of, you know, you'd have lots of scientists, and there'd be lots of people that like gardening or don't like gardening, but they still work for the RHS.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, we just need to make it more, it's not cool. I think cool's the wrong word. I think we need to make it more accessible. I think that's the word. It needs to be accessible. And it's not at the moment. Because schools are looking at tables all the time, and they're not looking at what some of the children might want to do. I don't know. Perhaps we should just bang a few drums.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely a conversation to be had about it, isn't it? I think it's not necessarily gardening and horticulture that needs to change. It's just the careers side needs to be rebranded.
Yeah. And I know RHS are trying really hard.
Branded. I don't know.
Yeah, they are trying really hard to get people into the industry, but I don't know. Perhaps they're not opening it wide enough. I think the money, I think the salaries put people off as well, mind.
Yeah, one of the things you hear a lot in horticulture is you don't do it for the money. You do it for the love. And that is a bit of a problem, really, isn't it?
It's the same as teaching, isn't it? You don't do it for the money, especially at my level. You know, if I was a teacher rather than a TA, I'd be on probably double the money I'm earning.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem. You've got to get good money, you've got to put 10, 15 years in and have the breaks to get that money. You know, because the private gardens are going, there's not so many private gardens there were 20 years ago. And the nurseries are becoming more and more national companies rather than family-run businesses. So I don't know, you know, Lucy Chamberlain, she grew up in a family that grew plants, and that's how she got into it. And that's how a lot of people get into it.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. I think we've got to bang a few drums and change attitudes, I think. But getting this petition sorted, which I've already done.
Well, mate.
That's what we need to do.
Open the conversation.
Yeah, open the conversation. That's what we need to do.
That's what it's about, dude. Stu, thanks for calling in, mate.
That's all right, mate.
Later in the week.
Yeah. Speak to you soon.
See you later, fella. Yeah, I mean, yeah, rebranding more career side. I don't know. More career. Yes, Richards, that's cool. More the career side more than anything. I tell you what, Sucker says I'm just going to call in quick. Let's have this quick. Let's push a quick advert in because we're going to squeeze an advert, and we'll stay around a little bit longer to call. A long show tonight. Advert Lee here, saying hello. How you doing? Hope you're enjoying the show. Now, you know when you're walking down the street and you say, "Cool, mate, you're looking pretty cool. You must be wearing a t-shirt." Yeah, probably one of these. And you go, "Good t-shirt, mate. Good t-shirt." Well, tonight I'm asking you to support the show by going, "Good show, mate. Good." Well, if you listen to the podcast, obviously you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm doing a thumbs up. Good show, mate. Good show. And you can do it too right here by giving the video a good old thumbs up, a good old share to your mum, to your nan, whoever is your friends on Facebook or in YouTube or whatever, and go and subscribe. That's what you can do. If you're listening on the podcast, you can share the audio. But just share the show. It supports Lee more than anything. Thumbs up. Thumbs up indeed. Oh, we got a phone call. There we go. Oh, wait. Hold on. Come on in. Hello.
Hello. Are you still live?
I am, mate. Are you all right?
Yeah, good yourself.
Yeah, good, dudes. A lot of conversation tonight, ma'am.
Sorry, say that again.
I said a lot of conversation tonight, man.
Yes, it's I got to say, Lewis, who on earlier, he's really got my mind boggling and thinking and going in every direction you can imagine. I mean, I know that's not that unusual for me on a daily basis, but this evening I'm not going to sleep tonight now because and the manager's just kicked off after me saying that now. So yeah, I'm in trouble, and it's all your fault.
Well, it depends. All right, yeah. What are you thinking?
Right, and what Stuart was saying about schools were really pushing gardening in at careers days and stuff. I know when I was at school, and that's going back a few years ago now, that my school did have a little bit on gardening as a career.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say it was enough, and it was sort of, it was at the lower levels, like Stuart said. But the thing is, where I grew up, we had an agricultural college on our doorstep.
Mm.
So that agricultural college would actually go out to the schools and push that whole industry onto the schools.
What, local schools to the college, though?
Sorry?
Local schools to that college?
Yeah, within a pretty wide area. I mean, we've got two in our area that I can think of now who quite often talk about they advertise locally on radios and, I'm trying to be an arborist or trying to be a florist on local radios, and they go out to the schools, in Brighton area, Hayward Heath, where I grew up, West Sussex. So there's sort of two counties that they would cover there, just because we had these colleges on our doorstep.
What if you haven't got a college on your doorstep, though? Do you not think them schools get a look in?
How do you mean?
Well, if you ain't got a college on your doorstep and they don't go and see you, then you're not going to know about it, right?
Well, that is a problem. Or if you haven't got a college that does that particular field on your doorstep, then it's not going to be so easy to know about either.
So do we need more colleges?
I think it does come from their colleges, because the college is the first step in schools' eyes, and certainly to making a career out of things, because you then get those qualifications that the school deems are completely necessary to have a proper career.
So maybe that is the problem then. Maybe that is the, because I get it. Like if you're a college, you're going to go and hit up the schools that are local to you, because you're more likely to obviously take up the course and they're closer, right?
Yes.
Which does mean that people out in maybe, I don't know, a city, or I don't know if London's got a college. I don't know, but anyway, they'll miss out.
Gardens on his doorstep.
Say again.
He's got Kew Gardens on his doorstep who train people.
Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot about them, mate. All right, I'll just use them as an example. Shut up, man.
Sorry.
Stop showing me up, dude. Yeah, I know what you mean. All right, Birmingham.
Yeah. I mean, Birmingham doesn't have a college that I'm aware of, but it does have a botanical gardens.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
But whether those botanical gardens have sort of thought along those same lines as the colleges, we need to go into the schools to get people to come and train with us.
Yeah. I think that could be. I think rebrand, and I honestly think rebrand is the actual word for it, because I think, because though I think at the end of it, we can do all we can. I can do everything I can do with primary schools. Larry or George Lamb, either one of them, as Stuart said earlier. I don't know if Larry knows he's involved. They could do what they do with secondary schools, but the main gist of it is, if the colleges are not coming into the schools to say we do that course, then ain't no kid going to know about it.
Well, exactly. Now, the thing with this college that was on my doorstep, in the village I grew up in, unfortunately got sold out to a larger college. And this college then started doing things like hairdressing and car mechanics there, which didn't go so well in the end, and it's returned back to its agricultural roots. But the reason it didn't work so much for it when it brought the hairdressing and the car mechanics there is all these kids were travelling by train to our village. But to get to college, if you were to walk it would take about an hour and a half.
Yeah, that is a bit of shit. There are more colleges then. That's the thing, right?
Yes, I think we do need more colleges. I really do think. Or, I mean, I was never one for colleges, in all honesty. When I was at school, I did not want to go to college at all. I was more into my apprenticeship. But my apprenticeship did involve going into a college 1 day a week. It was a 2-hour journey there and 2 hours back to get to this college, because there was only 2 colleges in the UK that did my course.
Right.
And if I was in somewhere like Birmingham, it's about a 4-hour travel each day.
Got you.
So, and that's in a industry that's probably a bit better well known than gardening. Well, I say better well known, has more of a career path known about than gardening.
Yep. Higher education, man. I think that's it's a problem that's not being chatted about. I don't know who should go into. I mean, maybe it's not the colleges that should be doing it. I don't know. Maybe there should be an organisation. I don't know if the OH has got time, but maybe they should be. I mean, let's use them as an example. I'm not saying just them. There's loads of organisations we found out tonight. Yeah, but why, if they do mention, to be fair, they do mention a lot that we need new young people to come into horticulture.
Yeah.
And maybe they need to send people out for the exactly the same time as I can't even remember when we had a careers day at school. I can't remember who was there. All sorts of people.
Yeah.
The army wanted me mainly for me physique, but why that sounds weird. Why aren't the RHS there?
Right, and this is exactly the point I think I was trying to raise, and I think I've just seen in the comments it sort of said, I always said perhaps college is too late. But the thing is, the college is regarded as the first step onto a career. So the college is going to be grabbing those people who are looking to the future and making them interested in it. So getting the colleges to go into the schools and attracting the 12-year-olds at that stage is going to do more for them in the long term, and that's going to bring more people into horticulture in my eyes.
Yep, I'm with you, man. Well, Mr. Suggs, we seem to have...
We've popped the word to rights again.
We've found the problem. We've thrown it out there and hoped that someone else will deal with it, but but at least we found the problem.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know. I always feel like I want to wade into these sort of things, but they have to remember what I'm actually doing is important as well. But I think it's going to take an organisation to sort of do that, dude. It doesn't have to be the RHS. I'll just pick on them because it's easy. But
the RHS is the leading authority in this country.
They are, but at the top of it, like having Lewis on earlier, is like we talked about a minister for horticulture, maybe getting one of them. Then that person, he or she, will go, oh, I know. We keep talking about getting young people. What? Has no one thought about this?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Big conversation, dude. But we always kick it off.
Yeah, I think one of us is breaking up. So,
well, that's a shame because I really liked you, mate. I'll speak to you later.
Yep, have a good one.
Bye, dude.
All right, dude.
Bye, mate. And that, everyone, is that. Well, cool. A big conversation tonight, team. I mean, you can bring it back up later in the week if you fancy it. I think it's, again, it's another thing we can continue to talk about over the coming weeks. I don't know what's going to happen there, but it was good to have Lewis on to talk about it. Thanks for your comments tonight. Thanks to everyone that's got involved. Thanks to everyone that called in. Stu just finished off with George. George Lamb needs to do more. RHS needs to do more. I mean, no, there's a lot of organisations, Stu. We do pick on the RHS pretty easy, and yeah, I mean, if they're shouting, if anyone's going about this, is well, I'm not shouting about it. Oh, here we go. On. Wait a second, everyone. Hello.
Sean Gibbs Cameron, London.
I knew it. I actually knew that I should have shut down the stream quickly before you called in. No, it hasn't. We're still on. You right?
I've just been watching a documentary about Trump. That's why I'm a bit late.
Oh, that's fine, mate. Don't worry about that.
There used to be Pencourt Horticultural College in South Wales.
Yeah.
But that closed in the 2000s just because not enough students went there.
Did they not question why not enough students went there?
I don't know, because I'd gone by that point. But I think you've got to go back to the careers advisors. And it's like when I went to a career advisor and they said, what do you want to do? I said, I want to work in TV. Well, they sent me down to the radio rentals. I said, no, I want to make the TV program. I don't want to sell the TV.
That's a classic.
And I would imagine that if anybody said, I want to get influence gardening, the first response would be, right, yes, but what you actually want to do. And then they would probably send you down to go and cut the grass in the local park.
It's possible. I mean, There needs to be
Because
an organisation that goes out there. It doesn't have to. I don't think it should be colleges, because colleges really only going for the easy win, aren't they? Because if you've got someone local, they're more likely to come to your college, and then I'm guessing they get
Whatever
some money
happened to the organisation called the Young Horts? Do you remember them?
Yeah, I think that's still about, aren't they? Are they still about?
I'm not sure. It was an organisation back about 10 years ago, and it seemed to be that as soon as the people in charge got jobs in the industry, I think the whole thing just collapsed.
Well, we'll try and get them on, mate.
Get them on. Try and find out to see whatever happened
Yeah.
to
We'll see what happens.
them.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I think anyway, an organisation should go and then maybe speak to the careers advisor and say, look, this, and I think repackage horticulture as a career. That's my.
And
my
from what
zone.
I understand from local park, because back in the day, you would come up through sort of the parks. So, you would go to the local park and they would train you up. But I think all those, especially in the area that I'm in, they've now been shipped out to private companies, which training is the last thing that they would probably want to get involved with.
All about dosh, isn't it?
Profits before plants.
Mate, the world is a changing, and if horticulture don't change with it, then that's what's going to happen, unfortunately. So that's a whole nother night of chat. Mr. Cameron, thanks for calling in.
If you ever get rid of that peppermint tin, I'll send it on to me.
Why do you like that?
And yeah, if there was a competition, I've just won it.
Well, as you want it, I'll never let it go.
Thank you and good night.
Bye, mate. And that is good night, everyone. Wow. Phones were, in the end, buzzing tonight about this subject. Hey, we'll bring that back up maybe next week if you fancy it for Good Mood Monday. I don't want to go blaming organisations and that, but let's try and find. Yeah, Jonathan's Young Hordes is still about a new variant of which Jonathan's a part of. There you go. Hey team, I'm gonna go because I am feeling a little bit tired after 2 days working, 2 proper days work in the year. Let's continue this chat. Let's continue. We've got a busy week coming up, but let's continue it maybe next week for Good Mood Monday, team. We are back Wednesday tomorrow. So we're going to continue that episode of Danny Clark and see how we get some of that artificial grass. Oh, gosh. And then Thursday, we are celebrating. Celebrate! We're celebrating this thing. I don't know if I've mentioned it. I brought a book out a year. That's Thursday. So tune in, keep in touch, and worst outro. Facilia. Or Pacilia, if you just read it off there.
Yeah. Oh, I'm on.
Oh, I can't hear you, on. I've done something wrong with the thing. Anyway, elephant poo is what I got.
Good evening, Lee. How are you?
Great, mate. Your signal is always terrible, but I'm good, my friend. Excuse me. You got an allotment? When I go, don't put artificial grass on top of me, all right?
Are you going to get composted, Lee?
Yeah, Hey, Advert Lee here. Enjoyed the show? Good. You can listen to the best of episodes on the podcast every Sunday. That's right, Lee uploads it every Sunday, the best of podcast. So get out of bed, grab yourself a cuppa and pop in the headphones, and you can listen to the best of the week. Or we have some absolute corkers. Go give it a listen. But from me, Advert Lee, and from Lee, see you next time. Bye-bye.
This is a Cindy Gainer Gardener. Dotson.
Who said that?